Alright, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to calculate a Pearson correlation between two different performance variables. In this video, we're just going to look at back squat, 1 rep max as a variable, and vertical jump as a variable. And then I'll show you kind of how to take that data and just go a little bit farther with it than usual. So we're going to use a Pearson correlation instead of a Spearman correlation. The reason why is pretty simple, but basically the reason for a Pearson is because we know that if you improve your back squat by 5%, you're probably not going to improve your vertical jump by 5%. So the proportion just doesn't really matter for a Pearson. So the Spearman would give you a different value than a Pearson correlation. So you can see on this screen right here the differences. So if you look at this graph right here, this is giving you a Pearson correlation of 0.85, or a Spearman would give you would just give you a 1. So if you want to look into that, go for it. I'm not a statistician, so I'm not going to be able to give you too much detail into it. But for our purposes, a Pearson correlation is just going to work a little bit better. So here's our data set here. So in column A, we have athlete. Column B, we have the athlete's squat 1 rep max. Column C, vertical jump, and then you can see playing time and rebounds right here. So we're just going to assume this is a basketball team, and we're just going to assume this is a basketball team and they're all post-up players. I know that's not realistic, but just for the purposes of this video to show you how to do this in Excel, we're just going to assume that. So over here, athlete squat. So we see John, his squat is 265 pounds and his vertical jump is 30 pounds. Now over here on the right side of the Excel data, right here in this J column, this is the correlation between squat and vertical jump. And we can see that the correlation is 0.71. So I'm going to show you guys how to get that number. So we'll just kind of start that process from scratch. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our correlation between squat and vertical jump. So we're going to press equals in this column. We're going to type in Pearson, so we can see Pearson returns the Pearson product moment correlation coefficient of R. So this is the R value. Okay, so we'll click on Pearson, and now we want our squat number. So we highlight column B, put a comma in there. Then we're also going to highlight column C because that's our vertical jump column. We'll just close the brackets, and then we'll press enter, and there you go. That's giving us a correlation, an R value of 0.71. So what that means is that 0.7 is typically going to be considered a strong positive correlation. So as one squat, 1 rep max increases, typically their vertical jump is also going to increase. Now you could also have a negative value here. So if this number was negative 0.71 instead of positive 0.71, that would just mean that as your squat number increases, your vertical jump will actually decrease. But like I said, this is all fake data, so you're going to have to run these numbers yourself if you want to look into these actual values. So there's our Pearson correlation between squat and vertical jump. And then if we want to get a visual for it, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight column B because that's our squat, hold down Control. Then we're going to highlight column C, which is our vertical jump. Then we're going to go up here to Insert. We're going to click on Charts, and we want an XY Scatterplot chart. So click on that. That looks good right there, so we'll press OK. And as you can see with this visual, typically as people's squat numbers are getting heavier and getting stronger, typically their vertical jump numbers is getting higher as well. So now we can take this farther. What we're going to do is we're going to right click on any of these blue dots here. So make sure it's a right click. We're going to press Add Trend Line. And now you can see the trend line shows up there, and it looks like it's pretty steep. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to press Display Equation on the chart. You can see it shows up on the chart. We're also going to display the R squared value on the chart. What this does is it gives us a little bit more context to these data points. So this R squared value is 0.50. What that essentially means, and not exactly, but for the purpose of explaining this in simplified terms, that basically means that 50% of the data can be explained by this equation up top here. So y equals mx plus b, that's what this equation is here. This r squared value basically means that 50% of these data points can be explained by this predictor equation of y equals mx plus b. And so if you see the visual with this trend line so steep, then you know you have something there. So that's just a way to get a visual of it. Makes it easier to understand. So now we'll take this a little bit farther. I'm going to delete this chart so we can see the Excel sheet a little bit better. And now what we want to do is, let's just say we want to correlate vertical jump. So now we know lower body strength measured in a squat correlates to a vertical jump, which is lower body power. Now we want to see if the vertical jump value correlates to an athlete's playing time, a basketball player's playing time in games. So what we're going to do, as you can see in K1, cell K1 here, I have vertical jump correlation to playing time. We're going to do the same thing as earlier, so equals Pearson. Select Pearson, and we want vertical jumps, that's column C, and then we want playing time, which is column D. Close the brackets, press enter, and now it shows us a negative correlation. So this is negative 0.49. This 0.49 would kind of be in that either weak or moderate correlation zone, depending on what your source is, but it's also negative. So what this is showing, and again, this is fake data, this isn't real, but this is saying that as one's vertical jump increases, their playing time is actually going to decrease. Okay, so more than likely vertical jump is going to increase someone's playing time, even though basketball, there's so many other variables, the skill, shooting, passing, ball handling, but from a performance standpoint, we know vertical jump is probably a good thing. But then we'll just go through the same process to get a visual of this. So we're going to highlight vertical jump, press down Control, highlight playing time, press Insert, recommended charts, and we want a scatter plot. And we can see the trend line is going to go down here, so right click on any of these dots, add trend line. We want a linear trend line, which we have. Display R squared and equation on the chart, and there you go. So what I'm just trying to show you guys is that most people understand the concept that strength is going to have a relationship to power. So as one's squat increases or one's deadlift increases or split squat or whatever measurement for strength, your power measurement is probably also going to improve. But now we can just take this farther with specific positions in sports or even specific sports. So we have basketball players here, and then we can do it with rebounds. So assuming these are all post-up players, and we want to see if vertical jump correlates to rebounds. So now we have right here, Pearson, vertical jump, correlation to rebounds, and boom, there's our correlation. So it's a negative 0.27, which would mean a negative negligible or a negative weak correlation between vertical jump and rebound. So you can take this farther with any position you want. So you got guards. Maybe you assume that speed and agility is important for guard play. So you take a statistic from basketball that is related to guards. Maybe it's steals, maybe it's a assist to turnover ratio, whatever. Then you take your performance measurement, say it's a pro agility or a 10-yard split, and see if there's a correlation between those two values. Do this with volleyball. Maybe you have hitters, outside hitters in volleyball, and maybe you do a correlation between their vertical jump or their approach jump and their hitting percentage or their playing time. And then you got defensive players in volleyball and want to see if there's a correlation between their pro agility or their 10-yard split and their digs in a game. So you can take this farther and farther as you want, and maybe you can match your style of play with the type of players you recruit or the type of qualities you want to train for in the weight room. So hopefully that makes sense, and if there's any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or shoot me a message on social media. I appreciate you guys for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel.